Thank you. Questions from committee members from this panel? Sure. Mr. Chavez?
I really appreciate your passion, sir. I love that. On your handout that you gave us, you have what I believe is yours. Number 2 talks about outcomes. Is it yours? Yes. You know what I don't have here is actually the numbers or a historical perspective over 10 or 20 years of these outcomes. If you could provide it to me, I'd really appreciate it.
Yes, actually, I think you're looking at the EOP&S Impact Study Technical Report.
Right.
Yes. If you notice, that was completed actually on a cohort basis. So we went back almost 7 years to study this population. So if you need us to go back 40 years, it could definitely be done.
No, not 10. Or give me 10 years, 7 years, whatever you have.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the sort of information that, people like me sitting in this seat could actually use.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about you want to defend your program, everybody's looking at outcomes. That'd be really good. In reading this report, a couple of things did catch my attention. And I don't know if you know this, but I used to be a director of a high school for about 7 years. And I saw the same ratio, and I was just wondering from your job, EOP 62.8% women, 36.3% men. Why the disparity?
I think the disparity that is actually present, and that is across pretty much the whole system. We have more females attending the system than we have male. However, our priority have been, given with this cohort that you're seeing, this cohort goes back to fall 2004. So we actually are looking at a cohort all the way from fall 2004 to a cohort to 2012. So that is something kind of a reflective within the community college population that we serve, which we have that disproportionality of more females versus males. But many of our priorities have been included to actually attract more males into the programs, as well as many other initiatives across the state that we want to attract more males to be successful.
I understand that, what you're trying to do, but why? In your opinion, since you're down there, why are more women attracted and less men?
I wish I can give you the answer to that because that's $1 million question on why we have more females than we have males in the higher education system. But because I wish I can give you that answer, but that is just how it is in the community colleges where we have more females than we have male. And there's some other issues, the other factors that are impacting males from being the majority at the community colleges and overall higher education.
I agree. CSU sees the same number, so it's not just community colleges, it's all higher education. I just wonder about, I'm a Marine, so I'm not a social studies guy, but I'm wondering what are the implications within society if that continues.
Not good.
I could figure they're not good, but I mean, which goes to your other slide you have here when you're talking about single parents, 95.3 women, 3.8 men. That's really shocking. Mm-hmm. Having been a single parent myself as a male and seeing that, it just really strikes me. Yeah. And the last thing is, because I know we got to get going on, is when you give me the numbers, I'd like to also know what degrees do EOP students receive? Because I was attending a seminar last week down in San Diego talking to people about the need of how many college degrees do we need. I liked your 66%. It's the first time I've heard that one. But what degrees do we need? And everybody's talking about, science and technology and engineering and mathematics. And the largest population we have is in the Latino community, the majority of the group. And I think when I look at the numbers, they're not taking the hard sciences and math. And the implications society-wise, 20 years down the road, are we going to have the people that we need to, have the hard sciences? We're supposed to be going to the Mars in 2030, so that's the objective we have. And, and if we're not educating them in that. So I'd like to know what degrees the EOP students get. Well, my experience, because I actually graduated high school in '69 when EOP started, and I was watching, observing my friends that were in the EOP program, and just this is not a factual number, but just an observation all my friends were doing it. They were taking like Chicano studies, ethnic studies, and I was taking English, and my friends that were taking math, we weren't in the EOP program. There was a different, so I'm wondering what degrees are they coming out of EOP?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I think it's really important to ask that question, but the point that I tried to make earlier is that we don't really track how we're doing in terms of the kinds of degrees that are being granted by race and ethnicity. And the student equity plans provide an opportunity to begin to do that. But other states are doing it. We're not.
And I think we should, because back to my Marine Corps, I sat on about 12 promotion boards in the Corps, which has history, goes all the way back on how do you become in promotions. We have an upper out system. And when I was a young lieutenant coming up, they said, "Oh, we're going to send you off to be Latin America to be a specialist and go down there and represent the Marine Corps." And I had mentors said, "Boy, you do not want to do that. You want to stay within your field and be an expert in your own field where you compete with your group." Looking back on all the promotion boards I was on, all the Latino officers who went off to do these great tours in Central America and South America, they never made it past major. But guys like me that stayed and competed with the group in technical fields, I went all the way to colonel. So you can push people in areas that will really limit their ability to go up. And I think we're going to see that in the sciences and mathematics. So people in your position, when you're counseling them, it's a growth area.
Let me just add something. There was a study done by the RP group which actually talks about the nursing recipients, because I like to talk to you with facts. And the RP group actually cited EOPNS as one of the model programs where nursing students were actually selecting due to the fact that we have and allow students to have priority registration. So when you have a student that is seeking STEM majors or nursing majors or engineering majors, they're actually going to seek the support of EOPNS because of our priority registration, but also because of our close tracking on those specific high unit majors, which is within the STEM. Actually, Dr. Ben Simon published a document on STEM and Latinos within the community colleges that I just recently read. And it has to do with that specific outcome that you're referring to, that before there were this correlations that EOPNS is tracking students or placing them on specific tracks. That's not what we're doing today. Today, our students are coming and seeking support from us because they want to graduate, because they want to get a certificate, because they want to actually transfer.
And I agree with you, and I just ended with this. When my son went to UC Davis as a Latino, they stuck him in a program because he wanted a pre-med to be a doctor. And 4 years later, there was only had 100 of them. 4 years later, I'd ask him at graduation, I said, "How many of you guys actually became doctors out of that whole little group you had there?" 2. He was one of them. And when he was starting it, after about a couple of months in the program, I said, "So what are you doing?" "Oh, we're out socializing, we're hanging out, having all this food." And I said, "Where are all the Chinese kids? The Japanese kids, where are they at?" And he goes, "They're in the library." I said, "Go make some friends." So my point is, sometimes with these programs you need to go to grow. You need to challenge yourself in areas you didn't see. And my one son was an applied mathematician. The other one's a doctor. And I think it's because all kids all kids can learn. All kids can be successful. And you just got to challenge them to go there. And I know Latinos can do mathematics. We just got to get them in there. So please do that.
Okay. Thank you. Can I ask finance to come back up real quick? And while they're coming up, we're going to reestablish our quorum. Please call the roll.
Mr. Ting?
Present.
Quorum is established.
Okay. And with that, we're going to go back to item number 1, the capital outlay issue, and attempt to move this issue forward and close it out. So can I have a motion on item number 1?
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Motion is second on that. Please call the roll.
Mr. McCarty?
Aye.
Mr. Chavez?
Aye.
Mr. Ting?
Aye.
Okay.
Motion carries.
So just back to this effort here on these programs, and certainly we all know the worthiness of them, and we're going to hear testimony in a little bit. And reading every day in the paper as far as new revenues coming in from the state, and we're hearing that the majority of that's going to go to Prop 98, so several $billion more above the January budget, and all things being equal, if 10% roughly goes to the community colleges, that's a couple $100 million at the minimum, maybe more for the current year and the budget year. And so, is there an appetite from the governor's office in the May revision to address some of these so-called categorical programs that really took a whacking in 2007 and 2008 and haven't had the opportunity to be restored in 2015-16?
So, I mean, at this point, I mean, we don't have any kind of comment or speculate. We can't speculate on what the May revision is going to include based on what revenues are available. That's something we're still developing at this time. But just consistent with our governor's budget proposal, we're looking to invest in kind of targeted but flexible categorical funding sources that.
Well, I guess a hypothetical. Let's say there was $300 million in the budget year. New revenues for community colleges. Would you think the administration would rather put that into enrollment growth or the student success, expanding that even more, or take a look at some of these categoricals?
So I don't think we have a specific answer to give you in terms of what we do exactly, because we need to. That's part of the.
Are you open to it though, or do you think that you would prefer to focus on what you've already done to date, which is on those existing augmentations to the existing programs?
No, we'll definitely, we take into consideration everything we hear from stakeholders, the Legislative Analyst's Office and the legislature. We take all of those thoughts into consideration as we develop the May revision, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I think that would be a priority. We've heard it a little bit in the Prop 98 hearing a few weeks ago, is to the extent there are opportunities to do further investment in community colleges to take a look at some of these categoricals. So, yes, Mr. Chavez.
I agree with the chair. Looking at that, the money, and notwithstanding my issue of the block grant issue, but if we are going forward, assuming AB 13 is going to get through appropriations, which allow veterans and the community colleges to use the GI Bill. If it doesn't get through, there'll be 65,000 veterans in your community college will lose all their funding. I don't think we'll go there, but I'm a little concerned. But assuming we do pass that bill to allow it to go forward, have you thought about any funding for veterans, specifically for them?
So our governor's budget doesn't include anything specific in the community college budget. Doesn't include anything specific to veterans, but the categorical programs that we are proposing to fund are broad enough that they would include the needs of veterans who have maybe extraordinary academic needs in terms of counseling or orientation or tutoring. So certainly community colleges will be serving the needs of veteran students as well as other students that have academic needs.
Well, I'd appreciate it if you put that down there when you list all the things. You throw the V word in there, capital V, and get that taken care of. Thanks.
Sure. Okay, see, we have Mr. Troy back there with the Chancellor's Office. Did you want to say something as far as the community colleges? I'm not sure if the Board of Governors adopted some type of budget principles as far as a wish list, if there are any additional revenues available.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to endorse your recommendation for a $300 million augmentation in May for the community colleges.
So moved.
First off, I think, hopefully the news we saw from the LEO this week gives us some hope that we're not in an either-or situation, that we can fund many of the very good things that the governor has proposed to fund in the January budget. And when we get to May, we could look at some of these other issues. EOPS, we could look at CalWorks, we can look at the big V, as Mr. Chavez is drawing his finger in the air. For. And I think there are other issues of need as well looking ahead. I think we have about 8,000 unfunded students out there that are being served by colleges and not being funded for that. I think that's an area that we could look at as well for an augmentation. Additionally, we'll get to the unallocated increase that the administration proposed in January. That's an area we may look to increase as we go forward because districts are going to be facing this rather large obligation for CalSTRS and STRS and PERS
I guess the
increases.
question is did the Board of Governors adopt some type of document that you could present to us as far as?
We have a system budget request that we put together in the fall,
Okay.
and that includes categorical restoration.
Okay.
In it, yes. So yes.
Thank you. Okay. With that, hearing no more questions on this item from committee members, I know there are members of the public, and I think this may be an item that people want to speak to based on the T-shirts. So with that, we will go to public comment now for issue number 2, and we will have people line up over here by the sergeant, by the microphone. Oh, straight ahead. Excuse me. Straight ahead. And okay, we're going to have a maximum speaking limit of 1 minute. Maximum.
For everybody, or
So the opposite of that is the minimum would be shorter than that, of course, hopefully. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Jonathan Lightman on behalf of the Faculty Association of California Community Colleges.
We settle down a little back there. Everyone will get to speak. Go ahead.
Okay. FAC supports increased funding for the EOPS and the CARE program, as well as CalWorks, as these still have a deficit factor going back. If there is a deficit factor for DSPS, we would support that as well. Let me explain here that we are opposed to the block granting for the reasons expressed by Mr. Gonzalez. In terms of this being a civil rights program, we do not want students competing with other vulnerable students in local trustees for meager resources. In the community colleges, most of the EOPS programs are located in the center of the campus. We do not understand the philosophy that a student comes to campus, they're identified as being EOPS eligible. We say, well, there is money in these equity programs, but there is no money for you, an EOPS eligible student, when an administrator, a faculty member, a counselor, a staff member, they say, this is where you should go. This is the program that is established to set up to assist you. And then they get to the EOPS program and they say, listen, we're not funded, unfortunately, to serve enough students because we were cut and we have not been sufficiently funded. FAC believes that we should start looking at this now, that we should have a plan to be able, at the end of the budget discussions, to fund regardless of what happens in the May revise. To answer Mr. Chavez's question, pursuant to the Chancellor's Office data, 65% of EOPS students are currently enrolled in CTE programs. And we also believe that we should begin connecting the dots between the Student Success Support Program and increasing the ratio of full to part-time faculty, as well as supporting part-time faculty. And we have a bill on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members, David Bala Hawkins with the California Community College Independence Faculty Union. We are also opposed to the block grant funding. Our concern is primarily accountability. We think that there ought to be more accountability right now with how the money is being spent, especially since we've increased the expectations on students. We need to have support programs for them to be able to succeed. And any efforts by the committee to fully fund the categoricals, we would be very much in support of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honored to be here in the beautiful city of Sacramento. I'm Sherry Ricks. I prepared about a 2-minute statement. I'm going to try to shorten it. I'm a current full-time student at Sac City majoring in small business management. That sounds pretty standard to the point of being a little deceitful once you know the underlying truth. You see, this old diabetes thing has me on a limited schedule. Being insulin dependent has me struggling to hurry up and be somebody. By the age of 4, I had approximately 14 surgeries on my ears, nose, and throat at Dornbecker. At the age of 5, I witnessed my 7-year-old brother struck and killed instantly. Shortly thereafter, my mom remarried, and at the age of 6, I began getting beat. At home, I was physically abused, and at the babysitters, I was sexually abused. This went on till I was 11. Long story short, I became an adult with absolutely no self-esteem, no confidence, with no guidance. I led my adult life running the streets and being negative in one form or another. I had 2 children by the age of 20 and moved to from Oregon to Louisiana. At 40 years old, I was handed 8 years in prison while my retired law enforcement mother sat in the courtroom and cried. For me, this was life's ultimate embarrassment and shameful moment for me. Doing time in Louisiana proved to be a life-changing miracle for me. I was tested academically upon entering the compound and proved to be knowledgeable enough to be enrolled in Louisiana Technical College, which was on the compound with a slim selection of majors, culinary being the one I chose as well as my natural fit. I graduated with straight A's and the most fabulous culinary degree a person could brag about. It doesn't get any better than boudin and pralines. The biggest change within me came in the way of my belief system being miraculously restored, and I was taught that I do have some worth and that I wasn't just a dirt clod sitting in the hog pen. I actually had talent and smarts. I waited impatiently to move to Sacramento where my daughters and grandchildren live. I found this to be such a diverse, beautiful city filled with beautiful, loving people. I've been at Sac City College for a little over 2 years, and it took me a year to be accepted at EOPS program. What I didn't write here and what I've listened here is I took it that it took me that long because they don't just let you whip in there and hand you stuff. They make sure you're serious about what you're doing at that school. They're not a program that's just going to be taken advantage of and be dumb about what they're handing out. They want to make sure, that you're serious.
Finish up.
Yeah. And the confidence, support, and guidance.
We have a big line behind it. It's been almost 3 minutes, so I need to ask you to wrap it up. Thank you. You can turn it into us.
Hi, I'm Deborah Richardson. I am a current EOPS student. I am also a EOPS care student. I, again, had a longer speech, but I'll make it as short as possible. I'm a single mother of 3. I'm showing my 3 children that it is possible to go to school.
What college are you from again?
I'm from Sac City.
Sac City, great.
Okay.
Panthers, right?
And I am showing my 3 children, 3 daughters, that it is possible to go to school, but without the assistance of EOPS, I was not able to succeed or try to succeed. They stay with me. They're my cheerleaders. They're making sure I'm in my 12 units. They're making sure I did my FAFSA, my BOG fee waiver. They're making sure that if I fall, that they're getting me into the tutoring I need. They also assist me with backpacks, school supplies, food stipends. So that's one less thing I have to worry about. There's some questions that I heard asked. So just to let you know, I have a 3.5 grade point average. I will be going into my second year as of summer of 2015. I am being inducted into the honor program because they help me. EOPS holds me accountable, so I hold myself accountable at a higher rate. So that's one of the questions you guys have. I have my 12 units on a regular basis. They make sure. I have a counselor available to me.
Esther, wrap it up.
Okay, I have a counselor available to me that helps me with my education plan and make sure I do the correct courses. I'm not wavering and doing courses not needed.
Thank you.
Chair, I have to go to my education committee. I got a bill.
Good luck. Hope you don't need my vote right now. I'm here.
I'll vote for you.
Hello, my name is Lilia Contreras. I'm also a Sac City student representing EOPS. First of all, I'm a dreamer, AB 540 student, DACA, you name it. That's related, I'm there. I'm not only the first one to go to college in my family, but I'm the first one to graduate from high school. So I had no guidance whatsoever coming into school. I was even planning not even going because I had no idea what to do, where to go, or who to go to. EOPS was there when I needed them. They gave me the guidance. They set up a plan. If it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't even be in school right now. Thanks to them, I'll soon be transferring with an AA degree in social science to Sac State. And, thanks to them, they give you the support that you need. They have counselors that you need. You can go to them as much as you need. And they're very supportive, and it's a great program that's very serious.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Alexis Gordon. I'm also from a student at Sac City from the EOPS program. Basically, everything they were all saying, is basically the same thing that helped me. I'm a current foster youth. And, just the support that EOPS gives you, it just takes a lot less worrying off of you, so you don't really have to worry. Like, they help you, very supportive, and they're just there for you. So, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Fernando Sanchez. I attend Sacramento City College. I'm majoring in custom apparel design and alteration. As a fashion designer, I plan to land a job in a warehouse. The fashion industry is a much appreciated warehouse-based job setting. Although my goals as a designer are earning a degree at Sacramento City College, going to work for a company I would not have had to work for until I was promoted. I am willing to explore options for employment at a Sacramento-based warehouse. Extended opportunity programs and services meant broadening my horizons and meant the opportunity for me to look for a career in a college in the District of Sacramento. Understanding that when I applied myself, I committed to my college semester. The counselors, over a duration of the academic year, would put the necessary papers and files, labeled and attached papers needed for me to submit. As I was often in the offices, I learned to be aware of my commitments. They are to follow my educational plan, see or meet with a counselor, and get the computer-generated papers in such as are needed for enrollment. I was educated to adapt to a learning environment where my finished education plan could be taken in semesters of classes. Students can benefit by creating a plan and following through with it. It's simple as that. Let them work for the students. Funding for the students can meet the cost of attending college. Because each student has their own purposes for funds, community may be better equipped to resolve each and every one of their...
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Irma Rodriguez, and I am the faculty coordinator of the EOPS program at Sacramento City College. And our students are here speaking passionately about how EOPS supports them. But to just put it to light what Sherry was saying earlier, prior to the 40% cut to EOPS at Sacramento City College served 1,600 students. Today, we serve 700 less students because of the funding that we're receiving. And so it is true that a person like Sherry would have to wait quite a bit because our advisory group has mandated that we prioritize foster youth, African American men, Latino men, and single parents. And so when you have 2,000 applications for 500 seats, it's very difficult to serve the entire need. So I would really urge you to not support block funding because, again, it would pit individuals of need against one another. And really, as Fabio was saying earlier, I am on all these committees, and they ask me how we do it in EOPS. And what I say is, scale us up, give our money, bring us back to 2008 levels, and we can serve 700 more students. And so, again, that's not occurring. And so we hope that you do not support block grant funding, also support a restoration for EOPS.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, my name is Delissa Garza. I'm the EOPS supervisor at Sacramento City College. I agree with all the students and probably the ones right behind me. I'm a success story from EOPS as well as Irma. We are now productive, employed people that have degrees, and we're paying taxes on a lot of them too. And that's the purpose of what we're here for, is to get people out of the situation that they're in. Thank you.
Thank you.